Hi there, this is the Heir of Carthage coming to you from the Gallic countryside with a Rome Total War online battle with commentary. As you can see, my Greek army marching forward here. Decided to use the Greeks here. I believe, looks like, yeah, I have 6 units of gold armored hoplites. I have 6 units of archers, and in the back I have 2 units of Spartan hoplites to protect my flanks and my rear. So I'm going to quickly move within range of my opponent. My opponent is playing as the Julii Romans, and my opponent is Eden Jingle 17 Fire. So let's look at his army. On the front line he had 7 legionary cohorts. And then in the back he has an early first cohort, 2 early first cohorts, and 2 units of Triarii. He has a Roman armored general, 2 units of legionary cavalry, and 5 units of Roman archers. So the archery duel is going to be fairly close. He has a hill advantage, but I have more archers. His archers, however, are not upgraded, and that's going to help me out. As you can see, one good tactic to win an archer duel is to mass archer fire. I did so here, and this archer unit is down to 12 men, 11 men. And now I'm going to pick a different unit, mass my archer fire, and do the same to them. So here come my arrows, and look, that unit instantly goes down to 42 men, and is dropping. So that's how you mass archer fire to win in a missile duel. You can either mass slinger fire, archer fire, but if you do it properly, you can quickly knock out your opponent's missiles. And one of the things you want to do is you want to get your missiles in quickly, and you want to cause as many casualties as quick as you can, because for every archer of your enemy that drops to the ground, that's 1 less arrow that comes back at your men. Now you can see that my men are taking casualties because he does have a large number of archers. My men, however, are not in loose formation. And even not being in loose formation, by me coming forward and getting the first couple of deadly volleys, I'm going to win this archer duel. Or at least be able to hold my ground and damage his badly. I won't ruin the result for you. Who knows? Maybe I don't win. So in any case, you can see his archers are taking just as heavy or heavier casualties than mine, even though my men are not in loose formation. He's moving up his first cohorts, probably to give support to his infantry, since I'm moving up my phalanx line. Now I'm going to get my phalanx moved up a little. You can see he releases his Pilla on one side and causes some casualties to my men. However, he has legionary cohorts, not urban cohorts. But even if he had urban cohorts, one thing that people forget when playing as Rome is that Greek infantry is every bit as high quality as Roman infantry. Greek infantry is absolutely excellent. Armored hoplites and Spartans are top quality units, especially with gold upgrades like these armored hoplites have. I mean, look at these guys. Do they look scared of that Roman rabble over there? No, they do not. So, he's making weird moves with his cavalry. He sends these cavalry way off to the side and behind me, so my Spartans are going to keep an eye on them. I'm really not too worried about them. As long as I watch with my Spartans, I can easily handle this cavalry. So the missile duel continues. You can see I made some not so good decisions for the time being, and he has kind of evened out the missile duel, even though I started off with a nice advantage. So he's going to bring his infantry forward, seeing that there's no decisive advantage in the missile duel, and he catches me out of phalanx mode for a moment, because I was paying attention to his cavalry. Maybe that was why he moved it around. But I put my men into phalanx mode without losing too many, and they're going to quickly start dealing justice to these Romans. Swift Greek justice. Let's take a walk through the battle lines. Hear the screams of pain, the shouts, the grunting. I don't hear any taunting. I mean, if I were in a battle, do you think you might taunt sometimes, like, hey, you know, your mom's so fat, or, yeah, whatever. Taunt your opponent into making a mistake, maybe. So, as you can see, my armored hoplites, even with the height disadvantage, are having no problem holding these legionary cohorts at bay. Gold armored hoplites are very hard to penetrate from the front. He really should have sent more men to attack my flanks. So, anyway, you can see how the main infantry fight is going there. And he's going to bring some troops over here to flank, like I was just saying he should. Now remember, his first cohorts are still just sitting here. He really should have brought those out to the flanks. What he is bringing to the flanks is his Triarii, which is not a good idea, because Triarii couldn't hold their own against regular hoplites, much less armored hoplites, or worse yet, Spartans. So you can see my Spartans here are going to quickly make a mess of his Triarii, who have already lost over 20 men. So I take my Spartans up to the other flank to threaten him into bringing his first cohort around, because I want a piece of them. As you can see, his archers back there had radiation poisoning. They're glowing. No, actually, that's just them gaining experience from killing so many of my men. So you can see I still have some archers in the background, and his cavalry is still back there, and I'm going to come shoot him with some arrows. I'm trying to goad his cavalry into a fight. Now, why, you ask, would archers goad cavalry into a fight unless they had a death wish? Well, it's because I might have a little surprise waiting on my opponent. And here it comes. I have 4 units of gold Greek cavalry, which alone would be hard-pressed to kill these 2 units of legionary cavalry. So he goes in for a hammer and anvil strike. I turn my armored hoplites aren't going to be phased by it because they have his infantry pretty beat up. And wait a minute, he turns around and here's my surprise. They're like, hey, what are you doing here? Well, we just wanted to come be a part of the festivities. Yes, my cavalry waited anxiously in the trees for their opportunity to come slaughter their fair share of Romans. So here they're doing their work. But however, legionary cavalry is very tough. So my Greek cavalry is going to have a hard time. And he has an armored general in here. So his units have higher quality, but I had higher numbers and the element of surprise. So I bring one of my units of Spartans off the flanks of the infantry fight to start to give it to his cavalry, and now they are in serious trouble. And that was the whole strategy for me here, was to let my opponent think that he had free reign in the rear with his cavalry. And he fell right into my trap. So that was my kind of Hannibal-esque type of strategy. Now you can see a couple of units of my Greek cavalry are beaten and they have to flee. But one of my units of Greek cavalry they hung in for a minute, but his remaining cavalry is there up against my Spartans, and now they are so heavily diminished that they're not going to be able to have an effect on the battle, which is exactly what I wanted. Now you can see here he's outflanked my armored hoplites, but like I said, they're so tough that they're hanging on for as long as they can. It only says defeat is a distinct possibility, and that's because, like I said, they're very tough units. And so I'm going to bring my Spartans up here to rectify that situation. Now on the other flank, my Spartans engaged his early legionary first cohort, and now they're going to rout. And because his first cohort is routing near his other infantry, you can now see that his other infantry is wavering, because right there is their gold legionary eagle running away from the battlefield. That's not a good thing for Roman morale. So, as you can see, even though his high-quality Roman infantry had a height advantage, they just could not overcome the impenetrable force of my armored hoplites. So now it's just simply a matter of wrapping up the flank. And here, his flanking units are being dealt justice by my Spartans and armored hoplites together. Here comes his cavalry. His general's trying to make a helpful stand, but I see him coming, and I turn my Spartans into them. A couple of Spartans there went flying, but that's okay. That's why they wear those cool gowns there, robes. It helps them float through the air. So now his infantry is routing en masse, and his general's unit is not going to be able to do anything about it. So, one thing to remember when using the Greeks is no, they don't have good cavalry, but they do have absolutely top quality infantry, and armored hoplites are an almost unbeatable value as far as denarii is
Press
concerned.
forward so that the spirit of his army is broken too.
And that is pretty much the end of this battle. As you can see, he's got that one unit of archers.
This is a heroic
My opponent
victory,
admits
worthy
defeat.
of Greek soldiers.
I enjoyed using the Greeks. I like their troops. The only problem is, like I said, their cavalry, but if you use proper tactics like I did there, you can overcome the disadvantage. So this was a clear victory for me. I had 1,290 kills, and my opponent, Eden Jingle 17 Fire, had 890 kills. Good game.